Welcome to the Informed Decision Brief, brought to you by 52nd Fighter Wing Development Advisor. On behalf of the Development Advisor, my name is Sergeant Gums. Our purpose is to provide airmen with an opportunity to get the necessary facts, advice, and information they need, different perspectives on variables, and make best possible career decisions for themselves and their family. Our target audience is first-term and second-term airmen between the 12 and 15-month date of separation. This is not pressure from senior leadership to get you to re-enlist. This is simply education for all, not just those who are undecided about an Air Force career, but for those who are about fact-finding, for those who have leadership showing that we care about your future, and also to help you make an informed decision. Here are our career options. You have Skill Bridge, an 180-day internship with civilian business before separation. You have the TAP, currently known as Transition Assistance Program, where this aids preparation and tools to make the move from active duty to civilian life. You have the Retraining, where you can sit with our development advisor. First-term airmen are automatically released from current career fields regardless of an AFSC. And we have the Pilot Chasing option, where you can sit down with our in-service recruiter or Air National Guard and stay in the Air Force while keeping your active duty benefits. We want to know about you. What is your career field or AFSC? Is this something you see yourself doing for 20 years? How long do you have left? Think about your data separation or your D-rows. What your next move might be. Would you continue on active duty, transition to civilian life, join the Air National Guard, or the Reserve? And lastly, what's driving this choice? Is it to pursue education, get closer to home and family? Do you decide the Air Force is not for you, or are you simply looking for more opportunities to develop in the Air Force? Think about it, choose a side, and we know that you will make the best decision for yourself. On this slide, you'll find a bunch of different contact information offered here by agencies on Spangdahlem Air Base. You have our Spangdahlem Education Center, and their DSN is 452-4767. Their ORBOX email is 52ndfss.fsde@us.af.mil. You also have our 52nd Fighter Wing Development Advisor. The ORBOX is 52nd Fighter Wing DA@us.af.mil. There's a bunch of things that you can check out on the SharePoint listed above. You have our Facebook at www.facebook.com/52nd Development Advisor. DSN is 452-7829. Alongside this, you have our Military Family Readiness Center, currently known as M&FRC. The DSN is 452-6422. Their ORBOX and their Facebook are listed below. Lastly, you have our in-service reserve recruiter, Master Sergeant Mir. His DSN is 452-6762, and we hope that you will use all these agencies to obtain the information that you need to help you with your informed decision. Greetings and welcome to the Transition Assistance Program Brief, currently known as TAP. TAP is a congressionally mandated program that provides transitioning service members a broad range of information, skill building, and counseling service to strengthen their transition from military to civilian life and prepare them to succeed in the next phase of their lives. Today we're going to be going over initial counseling, preparation counseling, TAP workshop, and 2-day tracks, alongside Capstone, also known as Career Readiness Standards, and we're going to be talking about starting 18 to 24 months prior to your data separation. During our Transition Assistance Program, we're going to be going over our website, which is www.52ndfss.com/TAP. Going through this website will help you navigate how to start TAP. You'll be able to have contact information and also go over some things that you can download to use as tools and tricks to help you with the transition assistance. Not only will you be able to get help with your transition assistance program, but using the M&FRC programs such as Air Force Aid Society, Air Force Families Forever, Casualty Assistance Program, Employment Assistance Program, the Voting Assistance Program, and the Key Spouse Program can help you and your family have an easier process throughout this phase of your lives. We ask that you check it out and also take a look into them. If you have any questions, you can contact us at the M&FRC, Building 307. Our DSN is 452-6422. Our ORBOX is 52ndfss.fsh.center@us.af.mil. You could also like us on Facebook at 52nd FSS, Military and Family Readiness Center, or you can check out our website at www.52ndfss.com/TAP. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Amanda Lomo, and I'm the section chief at the Education Office. Today, I'll be sharing all the wonderful education benefits that you all have available to you. Before I get started, I just want to make sure I share our walk-in hours and you'll see that information listed on this slide. We offer walk-in hours Monday through Thursday from 8 to 4, and Friday are appointments only. We are located in Building 129, and of course, for all emergencies and or questions that you may have, reach out to us at 52fss.fsde@us.af.mil. With that said, let's proceed. Here's an overview of all the wonderful TA benefits that you all have to pursue your education. This will be the direction that we'll take during this briefing, and let's start with the TA. Tuition assistance is $250 per semester hour, and it is $4,500 per fiscal year. Of course, this will pay for your CCAF, your associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, and a master's degree. Before you can actually tap in and start using the tuition assistance, it is mandatory that you do the initial TA brief. Take the time and go ahead and scan this QR code now, and you'll be able to complete this briefing on your own time. Okay, let's look at the policies and procedures of TA. I won't read every line to you all, but I do want you to be aware of a couple of mandatory information points. So TA, you must apply as early as 45 days out before the class starts, no later than 7 days before the class starts. If you miss the 7-day rule, unfortunately, you will not receive TA until the following term. Additionally, you see below that it's mandatory that you maintain a 2.0 GPA for your undergrad. And if you're working on a master's program, it must be a 3.0. And finally, you'll see the supervisor is a big part of the TA process. They will be approving your TA. So please make sure that you follow up with them once you put your TA in to ensure they approve the TA document for you. So some additional TA assistance that is more helpful to your spouses, since tuition assistance is already given to you all. So I just want to make sure that everyone's aware of the FAFSA, which is a free Pell Grant. It is based on your financial aid. So of course, when you do your taxes once a year, you will submit all your documentation to apply for the FAFSA. Depending on how much you make, will basically determine how much you qualify for. Next is some scholarship options that we have. And again, this is more for our spouses. So if you have anyone out there that needs additional information, feel free to come by and see us and we can assist. CCAF. This one is definitely our fast-paced program to get your associate's degree in the current AFSC that you hold. So a couple of things that you want to be mindful of is just making sure you understand the requirements. You'll see below the process that you need to send your official college transcript if you've ever taken college courses before. It's important that those college transcripts are received by CCAF in order for those courses to be counted for. And finally, let's just kind of do the overview of what the CCAF is. It's 60 semester hours. We tell all of our military members to focus on the general education requirements because that no one can do for you. That's something you have to do for yourself. Then there's a couple of ways to attack those, and I'll explain that in a minute. The general education breakdown is 1 speech, 1 English, 1 math, 1 social science, and 1 humanities. As I mentioned before, there's different routes that you can assist by taking these courses. So you can either A, take a college course, which we have 2 colleges on base to do that with, or B, you can take a CLEP or DSST to accomplish these general education requirements. Next is the program electives. That's 15 semester hours. So that's basically 5 additional classes that you need to take. And then the management and everything above, which is the technical education requirement, will fulfill eventually in your career. So let's not spend too much time on that just yet. Let's focus on the general education requirements first. Here is the new platform called Fiori. This is how you view your degree audit. And if you take the time to scan the QR code, it will show you exactly how to pull up your degree audit to see where you stand in order to finish up your CCF credits. All right, so this is Fiori and this is what it looks like. So when you finally pull up yours, it should have a breakdown similar to this. The ultimate goal is to get everything green. Obviously, as you finish the requirements, this will be updated on this degree audit and the green will reflect. And that just means you're almost done with your CCAF degree. And this is just a continuation for you to see all the requirements are met. As I mentioned before, once it shows green, that means you're complete. But again, the education office is standing by to assist any questions that you have, talk about any courses you've taken to ensure that you're taking courses that will meet the requirement. Okay, as I mentioned, there were a couple opportunities to basically finish up your CCF or any college courses that you can take the course with the school or you can take a CLEP or DSST. And this is the breakdown on how and where to take this test. It's offered in Building 129, same building that we're in, but they're on the third floor. And all the information to get scheduled is located here on that website for NTC. So the two colleges, as I mentioned earlier, is UMGC and Embry-Riddle. They're both located in Building 129, and they are on the second floor. I do want to bring your attention to the note that lists about the overseas requirement. Anyone who's never been to college before and you're a first timer overseas, it is mandatory that you take your first college course with one of the schools that's listed here. Once you complete that course, then feel free to go to any college of choice. It is just a mandatory requirement for being overseas for any first time military member taking a college course. Okay, now let's talk about the GI Bill. So please understand, I am not the VA expert. We do have one, and he's located at the Military Family Readiness. So if you're trying to figure out what GI Bill you signed up for or which one you should possibly take, that's something he can assist with. My job today is just to explain the difference between the two and a simple little blanket statement of which one would be better. But again, it's your choice and it depends on your family situation. So the Montgomery GI Bill, if you did see $100 coming out of your pay for the last 12 months, that is the GI Bill you signed up for. What this does for you is when you get out of the military, you'll be able to go to school and receive assistance for your college benefits. It does not pay anything additional. You don't receive any additional pay, and you get 36 months to use it. The post 9/11, on the other hand, if you have a family or plan on having a family, this one is a better fit. This will allow you to transfer this benefit to your dependent and spouse, and they'll be able to go to college for free. So you can see the difference between the two. Post 9/11 also receives a BAH that's about a staff sergeant pay, and it is an excellent benefit. So if you plan on only doing 4 years in the military and want to get out and be a full-time student, this is absolutely the best benefit to use because you can be a full-time student and receive a monthly paycheck. So something to think about. Thinking about being an officer? Well, you're in good hands because we do offer a commissioning briefing and we do those quarterly. Unfortunately, I don't know when the next one is at this moment in time, but if you just check our SharePoint or reach out to the education office, we can give you the next one. You'll see the different types of programs that the commissioning programs offer. The best thing about this briefing that we host is we offer officers who have been newly selected to come up and explain their program. And then eventually they become a mentor that you can reach out to help assist you with your package. It's a great opportunity. Another great benefit is Air Force Cool. Now, this is different than TA. It is 4,500, but it is a lifetime cap in your entire career. You can use this certification either AFSC related or non AFSC related. It's ultimately your choice. It's a great benefit, but one thing to add is the application process does not happen in the education office. It's all done in AFIC, the Air Force Virtual Education Center. So make sure you're clicking on AFIC and using the messaging tool that will allow you to chat with Air Force Cool because they are located at Maxwell. So I just wanted to make sure that I share that information with you all. And last but not least, one of the most amazing benefits is SkillBridge. So if you're thinking about getting out of the military soon, please make sure that you come see the education office so we can educate you on the SkillBridge opportunities. This is available to anyone who is within the 180 days of their DOS. There is a checklist that we will go over one-on-one, and do understand the rules of engagement as far as the approval process is. It will go through the education office first. We will do a checklist with you. Second, you will reach out to the company of choice. We have over 600 companies that have already been vetted, so finding a company is easy. Once you find the company, you reach out to the POC. They'll work with you and sign a training plan. You then send it back to the education center. We make sure everything looks good, and then we make you eligible in AFIX to be able to apply for your SkillBridge. At that point, you apply in the system, and then your supervisor approves. We approve the education office, and then your commander. So when you are ready to participate in SkillBridge, please stop by the education office so that we can go over the checklist with you. And just to wrap up, please make sure if you are planning to use TA or any of those fabulous benefits we just went over, it's important that you do that TA quiz as I mentioned before. Again, our office hours are Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4. And again, Fridays are appointments only. And if you need to get anything or receive any information additionally from the education office, just reach out to us to our email listed there. And at this time, I'll allow you to complete this survey. And if you have any additional questions, let us know.
Hello, I'm Master Sergeant Gabriel Diaz, a 52nd Fighter Wing Development Advisor. I'm here to talk to you this morning about the First Term Airman Retraining Program, and towards the end of the brief, we'll be talking a bit about the NCO Retraining Program. Let's get into it. A few of the things we're going to go over is the Air Force Enlisted Retraining Program purpose, the retraining program itself, the customer roles and responsibilities. This is going to be one of the most important points. After the brief, what you decide to do with this information is how far you will get in the retraining program. We're going to talk about interpreting the MyPERS advisory and the advisory notes, navigating the Air Force Enlisted Classification Directory, and applying for retraining itself. After that, we'll have some time for some questions. If you can, please send me those questions in an email or via Teams, and I will get to those questions as soon as possible. The directive that covers retraining is the AFMAN 3621-100. It is a military utilization and classification. This covers everything you're going to need to know for the retraining program. It also gives you resources of people you're going to have to talk to throughout the process. What we're looking at here is what the retraining advisory looks like itself. This is maintained and able to be accessed on MyFSS. For the retraining purposes, we're going to be looking in the block with the yellow arrow. This is the objective in or objective out block. For first term airman retraining, you are required to be looking at the objective in block. Now, after we figure out what block we're looking at, I don't care what your rank is if you are a first term airman. You are still looking in the column that is required for first term airmen, and those billets and availabilities are what you're able to apply for. Some of that eligibility that we're going to look at when you're looking down those blocks that are open for you is your time in service, and it's going to be that 35th month for a 4-year enlistee or the 59th month for a 6-year enlistee. Now, with OCONUS, we also have to consider your DROS. The main thing to remember with your DROS is you have to be in the current physical year of retraining, and it's got to be within the last 12 months of your DROS. This chart here talks very clearly about what DROSs are best throughout the year for you to retrain. We're looking at that August through December retraining. That is not very good at all. So if you do have those months as a DROS, we're going to look at possibly moving your DROS to April, May, June, or July. Or we're going to have to consider retraining at your next base. And those are options we can talk through via email or phone call at the end of the brief. If you have those DROSs already in April through July, those are the preferable months. The big issue with having these as your preferable months is if you are in these, we can almost guarantee you will not get picked up for orders. Throughout the other months of the year, if you are in those months, we can possibly get picked up for orders. And if an assignment gets dropped during your retraining process, it completely shuts down the retraining process and you will be required to restart the process again at your next base. Some of the things that do stop your eligibility are listed below. OSI investigations, referral EPRs on top, do not possess LAN access, does not have current passing physical fitness score within 30 days of class start date, and there's a few other requirements in 3621-100. These are the main disqualifiers that we see. If you have any of these, we suggest that you work your best to get to the next level, maybe a new EPR or a better fitness test, and then we move on with the retraining program the following year. Here's a few more things for ineligible airmen. We aren't going to go through many of them, but some of the directives in the rest of the brief you can read yourself and call me or email me again if you have any questions. When navigating M&FRC, you can come down to the online retraining advisory on this page, or at the top of the M&FRC retraining advisory page, you can search as well for different programs or directives passed down from the Air Force, and those will come up in the search bar. Be sure when you're accessing the Air Force Enlisted Classification Directory, as you're pulling up the retraining advisory, you do have the most current version of the AFECD. It does not change often, but the career field managers do have the option to change some of the requirements for entry into career fields. You want to be sure that you are hitting all the blocks required for entry into your career field that you desire. The Air Force Work Interest Navigator is a very good tool for us to look at. If you go in, you're going to have to access it from a personal computer. Once you're in the system, you'll be able to put in all your interests, all the things you desire from your new AFSC, things like where you'll work, will I work inside or outside, will I be working with technology or people. You put in those options for yourself, and when it's in the system, it will generate a list of AFSCs for you to be able to apply for, and it shows you already bouncing your information off the system and your desires, whether or not you already qualify for those positions. After you check your qualification, we're going to go back to the retraining advisory. When we're looking at the objective in column, pay attention to the AFSCs to the left of that column and be sure that you are only looking at AFSCs without a shred. The shred is an AFSC with a letter at the end. If you want to apply for an AFSC with a letter at the end or a shred, that AFSC has to already be commensurate to your current AFSC. We call this a lateral retrain. And then we want to pay attention to the number of notes to the far right of the columns. Those number of notes are going to tell you very specific things you need from the career field manager to be able to apply for these career fields. To see those number of notes, you hit the drop-down arrow on the left side of all the columns. It will pull up the individual notes and you can review those as well as review the AFECD. This is what some of those notes look like. For example, it talks about already being in the W prefix career field and retraining and open to AFSC and advisory note 959 only. So those are only available to those. If we look down at the other AFSC 1 Bravo 411, under the objective in, we see one note, we hit the drop down, and it is a retrain only AFSC. This tells me that you will not be working with new airmen or younger airmen. Everyone you're working with will be senior airmen and above and will have retrained into that AFSC. After we pull up the retraining advisory, we're going to open the Air Force Enlisted Classification Directory. It is preferable to have these side by side. The Air Force Enlisted Classification Directory, or AFECD, is a comprehensive listing of all the AFSCs available to enlisted airmen. There is also an OFECD for officers, so if you're considering commissioning, be looking at that as well. When reviewing the AFECD, you want to be sure you're finding the first 2 letters of the AFSC that you're searching for. When we go through and we're researching what these AFSCs are, this is what the page looks like. For example, this is in-flight refueling specialist. The AFSC you will be applying for is 1 Alpha 011. You will come in a brand new airman, join technical training. After graduation of technical training, you will be awarded the 1 Alpha 031 or apprentice AFSC, bringing you into the career field. The aptitude column is specifically for your ASVAB scores. This measures where your ASVAB scores need to be for you to enter the current AFSC you're trying to retrain into. For example, we're looking at this AFSC 1 Alpha 0X1. Under General, you're required a 55. You can see that all the other columns are blank. They do not have a number in them. With those columns being blank, I'm not worried about them. You need to focus on what that general column is for your ASVAB score. When looking at the column next to electrical with the X, that is other standards listed for that AFSC. Looking at the columns below, you can see K stands for able to lift 70 pounds. That is part of your physical profile. The Pool HEES profile will be obtained from medical via a Form 422. You apply for that online. Medical will process everything and review your records and give you a score, then return to you the 422 electronically. That will be submitted with your retraining package. A few of the things we've talked about already is a retraining application being a 2-step process, your eligibility verification, and then the application submission. We're going to be going more in depth in the application submission shortly. After reviewing your eligibility, we are able to then compile all our information with our AFSCs and go to MyFSS to submit the application. Here's where the application submission begins. You're going to want to locate this page on MyFSS under the Career Management tile. Click that, and it will take us to the Create a Request page. If you are eligible and you click the Create a Request button, it's going to take you to the Air Force Retraining Request page here. It has you review all eligibility requirements. It has you go through and verify that you are eligible to obtain retention and look into whether or not you qualify for the program. And then it's going to give you a few of the directives that are required for you to get into. If you are ineligible, the system will tell you you're ineligible. This is what the message will look like. Once your application is submitted, please take time. Don't rush it. It will come. AFPC is looking at the whole Air Force, not just your application. Regular Air Force retraining request comes through. It lets you acknowledge that you are looking to retrain, and then it's going to have you go down and start inputting your AFSCs that you desire. As reviewing those, be sure as well you're not applying for AFSCs that have a shred again, and compile a list of 8. I know they're going to ask you for 5, but I ask you to have 8 in the circumstance that, say, your 1 and 2 only have 3 or 4 available options for you to apply for, but your 7 and 8 have 30 or 40 openings for you to apply for. We're going to want to switch those and go with your 7 and 8 to be sure that we're getting the best opportunity of retraining out of the current career field. After you click submit, AFPC will review all of your eligibility. They will review your current records, and they will see whether or not you apply to those AFSCs via your records. Throughout the process, be sure you're paying attention to your My FSS cases. This is where AFPC is going to communicate with you back and forth on the eligibility and the information piece of your retraining package. You can see here there's an open request. Your substatus is eligible, and it's updated daily. You'll be able to see when your case manager at AFPC has gone in to update your case. I do ask you do not go in and resubmit communication requests with AFPC. Every time you submit a communication request to AFPC, it drops you to the bottom of the list in the queue. So say you're up in number 3, waiting in the queue for information to be processed by AFPC. If you submit a request to say, when is my retraining done? When is my application going to be reviewed? How long is it going to take? That automatically moves you to the bottom of the queue, and you're going to be waiting even longer. All other case requests or questions can come through me, your SEL, or your first sergeant via calling the career field manager or the customer service desk. You'll wait a few months, and then you'll get an email or a message via MyFSS that says you've been approved for retraining. You may also get the denial email. We have to understand that this is not an automatic approval process. After being approved for retraining, they will send you your training dates and training RIPs. You got to be sure that you're looking at the dates on these and communicate with your supervision on what time frame you're going to look at for out processing. You will also be asked for retainability when it comes to the retraining process. Once your application is approved and you receive those training RIPs, on the RIP it will say within 30 days you're required to achieve retainability. At this point, I want you to go in within 7 days of receiving your approved status, go to virtual, go down to MPF, and apply for a base of preference. You will apply via a hard copy base of preference worksheet supplied to you at MPF. Do not apply on the online base of preference option. If you do apply on the online base of preference option, I cannot track the request. The only office that can track that request is the base of preference office at AFPC. After applying for the base of preference, it may get denied. That's fine if it does. After that, we're going to have to get retainability. This is when I want you to re-enlist. We're going to have to commit at least 4 years to the Air Force for the retraining and the assignment, unless you're retraining into a lateral career field within your career field. Within the career field, we can get away with an extension. If we don't get the retainability within 30 days of either the lateral retraining or the acceptance into the new career field, your assignment and your retraining will get dropped. So we've reviewed some of the retainability requirements. I talked with you about the 30 days of approval. Right now, AFPC is not accepting extensions into a cross-trained AFSC. They are requiring a reenlistment. I do suggest you only do 4 years. If it comes down to the new AFSC is not what you were looking for, we've only committed 4 years to that new AFSC. When it comes to exceptions to policy, some of the things I want your supervision to understand is this exception to policy is submitted through your commander to AFPC. It is not submitted via the development advisor. I will supply you with exception to policy templates and letters that you can go through and edit and then submit up through your supervision. After the exception to policy is submitted through your supervision, it is then submitted to AFPC via your CSS in a CMS case. Now we're going to move on into the non-commissioned officer retraining program. This is going to be a short brief. A lot of the information is very similar to the first term airman retraining. You'll see some of the similarities when it comes to the AFECD, when it comes to reviewing the online retraining advisory, and then when it comes to the eligibility rules. The big difference in the NCORP is it's rolled out in 2 phases. Phase 1 is a voluntary opportunity. AFPC will send everybody in the objective out block on the retraining advisory an email saying you have the opportunity to retrain. Here's a list of AFSCs you can retrain into. Which one would you like? Those members that choose to retrain in phase 1 will most likely get the retraining that they asked for. Those members that hold off and decide they do not want to retrain at that time move into phase 2. Moving into phase 2, those airmen that did not choose to retrain are now forced into AFSCs that have shortages, and AFPC chooses which AFSCs they retrain into. There is also a phase 2B that is for all other NCOs that choose to retrain but are not identified under the objective out career fields. These airmen can retrain into the objective in quotas after all the other members are selected. This year, AFPC decided to roll out phase 2A and B at the same time, 1 May 24. That allows all members in the other block that did not choose to retrain in phase 1 to submit applications for retraining under the NCO retraining program. Here are some of the requirements to be eligible for the NCO retraining program. Promotion eligible, second term, career airman E5 to E7. Have a promotion line number, volunteer for AFSCs in current career AFSC with shortages, and projected grade. Big thing to remember, we cannot be projected for retirement, separation, PCS, or have any sort of orders associated with our file in MilPDS. If we do, retraining will be denied and you will be required to take the assignment or retire. The same retainability requirements apply as the first term airman program. Once the retraining process is completed and you are approved for your new AFSC, you will be required to reenlist, unless it is a lateral move within your AFSC, then you may be eligible for an extension. This page has some of the frequently asked questions. You can review these. If they answer your question, great. If they don't, like I said previously, here's my contact information. You can email me, call me at my DSN, or hit me on Teams. I will answer all questions sent to me within that business day or the following morning. Please be mindful of my out of office reminders as well. There are times I am not able to be contacted because I am out at either a GSU or providing some sort of professional development around the base. Please, again, if you have any questions, email, hit me on Teams, and go through and follow us on Facebook. Thank you.